Welcome to the Better Readers Podcast, episode 15. Brandon, Alex, and Earl back again. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Uh,
Sorry.
there you
No,
go.
that was
You
bad.
had to. You had to.
That was
Say that.
bad.
No, that's good. We're back again. And last episode, you saw we did a winter themed because it's been freezing over in the USA has been frozen for like 2 months, I feel like, and all
Yeah.
various different aspects. But at least in my area, and Alex, I guess your area too. I don't know about your area, Earl, but we're actually starting to warm up now. Like on my weather app, I'm seeing 40s and 50s now for the next 10 days at least. So
we were in the 60s on Wednesday.
There you go. So you're there. So we're finally getting past it. I think we're getting past it, right? So now
don't get too excited. It always drops back one more time, which I'm okay with because let all the mosquitoes and everything hatch and give us one more freeze.
Yeah. I'm okay with more freeze, just no snow. I'm done with the snow.
Yeah.
Give me one more cold week or something. Okay, I can deal with that. But the snow has got to go.
Right. Yeah, you definitely got to deal with a lot more snow than we do.
Yeah.
Or you've dealt with a lot more snow so far up in PA.
No, for sure. So, but with that in mind, with it being like warmer, we kind of want to transition into looking forward to that. So with the warm coming in the spring and stuff, you kind of think of outdoor activities, and outdoor activities you kind of think about like sports related. So like some of the sports we were talking about tonight is like cornhole, which I have on my screen behind me. That kind of stuff, beer pong, like all your party sports you can do during the summer, but also like even sports in general has been ramping back up since the whole COVID crap going on.
Yeah, there are a lot of restrictions are lifting. Yeah,
restrictions are lifting. Hockey's about to let fans back in. Golf, I was actually watching golf earlier. They're letting some fans back in. So sports has been back kind of, but it's really kind of starting to really get back now. The NFL draft's happening here soon, so it gets you amped up for next season. The baseball season starting and everything. So one of the things that we kind of, me, Alex, and Earl were talking about kind of testing out for our podcast is each week, at least for now, we're going to take turns on who decides on what kind of category or topic we talk about throughout this podcast. And last week was Earl, talking about all the winter aspect and everything. This week is Alex. So he wanted to pick sports and that kind of stuff. I'll defer to him now so he can explain what's going to happen tonight. And then we'll feature our beers and stuff like that. But go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, so we're going to end up featuring our beers next. But basically the whole rundown is the relation between beer and sports goes back like for a really, really long time, goes back in history. And I was able to do a little bit of research on this. And, I can post this information on our Facebook page if you want to head over there and, like and subscribe, of course, and follow. But there was a study that was done. It was called the Harris Poll back in 2016. And it was a study that was based on 1,986 U.S. adults aged 21 and older. And it lists sports like boxing, hockey, baseball, basketball, car racing, horse racing, soccer, beach volleyball, golf, and tennis. So outside of the normal, you go to a football stadium and you get yourself a beer, or, you drink while you're watching football and everything. These are all the additional sports. I don't particularly watch some of these, but it was really interesting to me and how they figured out that actually football is the highest amount at 84% that drink any alcohol while watching on TV, and 83% while watching live.
Is this a national poll or a worldwide poll?
This is just based off of the number that they tested. This is out of the 1,000.
About American football or worldwide football?
American football.
Okay.
Yeah, American football, yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I have no doubt you will go walk into an English pub somewhere and they got TV and they are slamming them back.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but it's like it's pretty cool because each sport kind of develops their own culture in which beers people typically, drink while they're watching that sport. Like a lot of the summer sports that take place when it's really hot outside, a lot of people are going to tie some light lagers and American lagers, to those because it's hot and you're outside and you're drinking something to cool off. And then some of the other sports that happen more during the winter or, where it's cold or when it's cold, like hockey, might lean a little bit more towards the stout, which the Imperial Stouts is going to be our beer for the day, and that was actually picked by Earl. So with that, we're going to go ahead and segue right into the beers that we got. So
finally get to drink.
Brandon, which beer did you get?
All right, so the beer I picked tonight is a beer that I have had before. So I was browsing my beer store like normal when I came across it. I had it only one time before. I remember I liked it, and I love the name. I do love the can art, which obviously is a big thing for me. It's called Fried Ice Cream Stout by Flying Fish, which is a very popular brewery. I think a lot of people watching this will probably know Flying Fish. It's an imperial stout brewed with. Bless you. It's a
the whole bar behind you got quiet.
I know, right?
Yeah, they're all standing really still.
They know you're doing a mask. They know you're doing that for one. Yeah. It's an imperial stout brewed with vanilla ice cream, chocolate, and cinnamon. Which just sounds interesting on its own, right?
Wow, that's a lot going on.
Yeah, and it matches.
I get the vanilla side of it, but the cinnamon is just weird. But try anything.
You really taste. You definitely taste vanilla and chocolate, but the cinnamon's very light. It's not a heavy cinnamon taste. I did get a glass this time, so we can see kind of what. I mean, all stouts are really gonna be dark, but.
Oh yeah.
I think it's kind of satisfying just kind of watching it, right? Yeah.
Pouring in a fancy Stella Artois glass. Oh.
Let me hide. Oh, look at that. Perfect.
Right, a lot of head.
Well, yeah, but still, whenever whatever.
I watched a really interesting video on the science behind, because you know how when you pour Guinness and how like it looks like the foam is like cascading down the side of the glass, and there's like a whole science why Guinness glasses are shaped a certain way and how it all works and what's going on. It was just interesting. So sorry.
Well, Earl, actually, how's that taste, Brandon?
Delicious. Delicious. I'm a big ice cream fan in general.
Can you chew it?
No, you can't chew it.
Okay.
Just the flavors. And I love stouts, but you know what? And it's 10.3%, which obviously, for an imperial stout, I think they're all usually 10
pretty standard,
higher, right? Pretty standard. It does not taste strong. It tastes it tastes normal, like good. Like I could drink. This is something I could drink multiple of and love throughout the night. I'll regret it the next morning, but it doesn't taste overpowering. The alcohol percentage.
Well, the thing with those beers is even though they're high alcohol, like they're so thick and robust, like you're eating a loaf of bread while you're drinking beer. So you can't drink but so much anyways, because you just get full.
I can see myself getting full, but it doesn't taste too heavy.
That's
either.
Good. Oh, okay.
But I can definitely see myself drinking like 2 or 3, getting kind of full. But it's not. I've had some stouts where you drink just one and it feels really heavy. It just tastes really heavy. You know what I mean?
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, speaking of Guinness, mine is it's a Guinness, but it's so it's a partnership, or they teamed up with Bullet Bourbon. Yeah. And
interesting.
It's a stock ale that's a blend of imperial stout and barley wine ale.
What the world?
Both aged in Bullet Bourbon barrels.
Okay.
So
sounds good.
It's 10%. And I'm super excited about it because I've been staring at this on the shelf for a few weeks now. And when you said,
a few weeks.
Let's do an imperial stout. I'm like, yes, I know exactly which one I'm getting. And I was really hoping you guys weren't going to get it either. I've never seen this before, though. I mean, even the label itself is like, it's like bumpy, like it's got texture to it,
Oh, okay. It's a little more vintage looking, I guess.
Yeah, it's real fancy. I mean, they even got the the Bullet label there. And
cool. That's definitely different.
So you've never tried this before? It's your first time tasting it?
Your first time tasting it ever. And honestly, I love Guinness, and Bullet is like that was like my intro bourbon, really.
Yeah. That's a good combination. It sounds like it'd be definitely a good combination for sure.
And like a little excerpt here on on the side it says 260 years of Irish brewing experience meets American beer creativity. So,
but what's not Irish? Maybe they have an Irish whiskey. I don't know. What,
no, Guinness is.
Yeah, Guinness. You're right. I'm sorry. Okay, I was like, where's the Irish come from? Yeah, I forgot about the Guinness part.
Yeah.
But where's the barley wine part come in? What you said something about barley wine too?
Yeah, it's a combination of barley wine.
Oh my gosh!
I guess they did a barley wine and they did a stout and they mixed it together and then they aged it in bullet barrels.
Jeez, that's a lot going on.
I love it.
It smells like
I would think that would smell good.
almost like syrup. Just
All right, here's the verdict. The initial verdict.
definitely not as boozy as I thought it was going to be. I read that and I'm like, ooh, it's going to be like a mixed drink.
Well, that's a good thing.
But no, it's nice and smooth. Wow. It's really good. I'm gonna drink it a couple more times because I know I'm gonna get more, more out of it as I keep drinking it. But it's
you get that initial shock on your palate right now.
Right.
Yeah.
You need to think about it a little bit.
It is good. This you know what, this you could definitely drink. I mean, I put these because these were on the shelf. They weren't in the fridge or anything like that. So I right before, I don't know, like for 30 minutes, I put them in the freezer just to, cool them off.
That's all you need to do stouts, especially Imperials. I mean, usually the standard temperature is like 55, 50 degrees that you drink it, but plenty of people drink them room temperature.
I would drink this warm, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I can
see that.
It would be great warm. So yeah, 10 out of 10. I would definitely get it again.
All right.
I got
Girls up.
So I've had this before, but when I was looking at the beer store and I saw a few different Imperials, but when I saw this sticker right here, it says 2018 on it. I was like, no. And sure enough, on the label itself, January 2018. I don't know if I zoom in anyways. Anyway, so it's a 3-year-old beer, 3-year-old Imperial Stout. So we already talked about how the higher ABV beers age really well, typically, especially the stouts or the more flavor infused beers. So this is it's Foothills Sexual Chocolate.
Oh,
yeah.
Sexual feeling.
Yeah, I've had this before. I don't know if I know I've had the 2018. I see what you did there.
That's the best. Honestly, that's the best name for an Imperial Stout. I feel like a chocolate Imperial Stout, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sexual chocolate. It's like,
I mean,
I love that name.
Yeah. So this like I've had this before. I don't know if I've had an aged one. I don't know if I've had a 3-year-old one before, but just every one that comes out is always going to be a little bit different from the year before. So they're all going to age slightly different too. So that's such a thick, like I could get a fork and eat that foam right there.
Yeah. When you bought that, is that just a single bottle?
It was a single bottle, yeah.
Okay.
It had some. They had some fresh ones there. This was aged, so this was $20. But it's it's one of the big bottles.
Sounds worth it for sure. Oh yeah, for sure.
So it is 9.6. So it's not quite to 10 yet. With 75 IBUs. So yeah, a lot of hops in that.
I wonder if mine has the IBUs on it.
Super chocolatey. A little bit on the booze side, but
see, that's chocolatey. The thing. So when I was saying like mine doesn't taste, so like I've had chocolate stouts where it tastes like so sweet, so chocolatey that you can only really have like one, maybe two, because they taste so heavy because of that.
Right. Well, I think that's why the IBUs are so high. They put all hops in it because it's got to offset that sweetness somehow. Gotcha. They pump this thing full of sugars and everything.
Gotcha.
But it's super good. Yeah, love it. Always a crowd pleaser.
Cool. All right, so before we transition into what we're doing tonight, I do want to bring this up. I know I didn't mention this to you, Alex, beforehand, but me and Alex worked together this past weekend, and you posted on Facebook. Me and our buddy Mike met up, and so for those of you watching, if you haven't seen it already, go on our Facebook, and I put on Instagram as well. Me and Alex had the chance to get together this past weekend, and there's a place near me called Iron Abbey, and it's a restaurant. it's a modern restaurant, but the downstairs restaurant area is kind of like a medieval style stone restaurant. Pretty cool, really good burgers, right, Alex?
Oh
Really
yeah.
good burgers.
Oh my God. So
But
good.
the
We,
but
we all ended up ordering the same exact burger
yeah,
too.
yeah, we all got the bison burger. Got the same
Nice.
burger.
Good
Yep.
call.
What's nice about that place is they're really big on beers and they're really big on whiskey. They have a ton of whiskey. So upstairs they have a whiskey bar and they have a beer. They call it the beer cellar. Basically a big room with 400 different beers in this room.
Mm.
And we posted some pictures on Facebook. A lot. They're pretty much all like 400 different beers, but they're all like single cans or single bottles. It's like what you have for you buy something like that.
Right.
But oh my God, we were in there. Our plan was to. So after we're done eating and we drank some beers and whiskey or whatever, we planned on going somewhere else. But like we were in that room so long we could not decide on what beers to pick because it's so overwhelming in the best way possible, right? Like Alex was walking around like I just don't know what to pick.
I ended up getting one of the same things that Mike got because I told Mike, I'm like, if I didn't just stop myself and just repeat something that you got, I would have still been in there trying to figure out what I wanted.
No joke.
It was literally beer heaven. I feel like I had to bring that up right now just because we recently posted on social media. It was beer heaven. Like we were talking in the room, like if the world was ending that day, like that'd be the best room to be in.
Well, honestly, like it wasn't just beer. There was some wine there.
Yeah,
I ended up getting a mead that was.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I'm so
well,
jealous.
they actually this mead it's called Viking Blood, BLOD.
Yeah,
and it's imported directly from Norway, and it's a honey wine with barley and hops added.
That's Alex. Remember that one that I brought to Tracy Marks? That mead. It's the same company.
Okay.
Yeah. So I actually have one more. I have Odin's Skull. There's a line of those meads. Viking Blood's one part of that line, and I also have Odin's Skull upstairs, which I haven't tried yet.
There was two of them there, not Odin's Skull, but another one was there.
I remember the
other
one.
I got it was a black bottle and a white bottle.
But the one Alice got was, or one that Alice got was, it said on the bottle it was based off a recipe from the 1700s, which I thought was really cool.
Love it.
And it's in a ceramic bottle.
Oh yeah, the bottle was cool as hell.
So cool.
Cool as hell, man.
I was drink that out of your Ram's horn.
Oh yeah.
You got to. You got to.
For sure.
You know what it reminds me of? Reminds me of that scene on the 13th Warrior. You guys seen that movie?
Man,
it's Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, didn't that come out in like the early 90s or something?
Yeah, but he plays an Arab who teams up with a bunch of these other warriors, most of them really Viking type heritage, because they talk about going to Valhalla and everything. But he is the 13th warrior that has to join them to defeat this evil thing that's attacking villages and stuff like that. And they got done this huge bloody battle, and everything, they've done so many battles and people are lost, and one of the guys goes up to Antonio Banderas and just takes a big swig of something and hands it to him. He's like, I cannot drink anything of the vine or of grain. And he laughs. He's like, it's made of honey. It's made of honey. It was a meat. So it's like, okay. So he finally, I think it was one of those things is like, you talk about, see these war movies and there's always somebody says, no, I don't smoke. At the end of the battle, they're like, yeah, give me a cigarette. So
right.
I think he was just looking for an excuse to go ahead and just down one anyways. But it just, mead always reminds me of that scene in that movie.
Well, there's a lot of mead, like craft meads that are popping up everywhere, just like the craft beer scene. There's been a lot more craft meads that have been popping up. I know there's a couple of ones here in Delaware.
Meadery.
And I don't know. I might try to find a couple of them and test them out and see how I like them. Always willing to try something new.
Super sweet, usually.
Well, I'd imagine it's a honey wine.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, I just want to bring that up real quick. All right, so Alex, do you want to talk about what we're going to transition to next as far as our sports theme tonight?
Yeah, so with following the sports scene, we're basically just going to go around the table and just kind of share some of the experiences that we've had with not just obviously I didn't play well, I mean, I played soccer, when I was a kid, but I mean, I wasn't like, I didn't go into football. I didn't go into, baseball. Although I'm pretty sure that if I went back and did it all over again, I would have definitely loved to like play baseball all the way through school. I just wasn't something I was interested in back then. And, I think I would have done great, but, one of the reasons why I figured, and Brandon brought up a really good point, because where my mind was like, watching the Super Bowl and going shot for shot every single time, the Eagles scored, which, was
in the two Super
Right.
Bowls they were in.
That's good. So like, so the idea was like, your mind initially was going to like actual sports, like professional sports. So
right.
what we're gonna do is like spitball based on anything that's related to beer and sports. So
Mhm.
it could be watching sports from home, like you're just talking about, doing shot for shot if something happens while you're watching the game with your buddies.
Yeah.
Going to an actual game, whether it's in the stadium, whatever type of sport it is, tailgating, that kind of stuff. It could be sports that are not professional sports, which actually kind of are really. So we mentioned like cornhole, beer pong.
Yep.
Like cornhole is actually becoming really, really popular professional wise.
There's serious tournaments that go on
Serious
all
tournaments
over
that
the
go
country.
on.
Yeah.
It's on TV. It's on ESPN all the time. That kind of stuff. But then, as far as like just dudes drinking beer in the summertime, summertime, when the weather gets warm, what are we doing? We're outside playing cornhole. We're drinking beer. Beer pong's another one. Some other
Just being active in general.
just being active in
Yeah.
general. So what I'm saying is we're including all that in the sports category tonight.
Right.
Like it could be anything that's like athletic kind of beer related that you're drinking beer while doing or watching, that kind of stuff.
So we'll start with some of the backyard games and stuff like that, like cornhole and even beer pong. And I mean, Brandon, I know every time I would hang out with you, you always had so many backyard games going on. There was Can
Yeah.
Jam. You had what was the one that you had to like hit the ball down on the net and it would bounce off of the net.
Oh
and you had
yeah,
to hit.
yeah. Oh my God, I'm a brain fart.
So whoever's watching this podcast right now,
Oh
is
my
probably
God,
like, I know the answer. I know it.
Yeah.
You always know when you're not pushed to come up with it.
Right.
I've been drinking tonight.
And I'm pretty sure. So every single time, and ladder ball is another one that we play a lot of. And every
ladder
single time
golf.
we're playing those, you always have, or I mean, obviously, if you're an adult, you have whatever you need to play the game, whether it's a sandbag or the balls on a string, and the other hand, you have a beer. So let's do this. Out of all of the different excuses that you've heard whenever you're playing, the opposite team and they're not doing so hot, what are some of the most famous ones?
Well,
and I'll start with this is not the beer that I normally drink when I play this game.
Or I play better when I'm drunk. Like I need to drink some more. I play better when I'm drunk.
Wait, so this is the category you're saying? Like this kind of like the premise? So this is not the beer that I normally drink.
What's a typical excuse for not doing well when doing these
like you're playing cornhole and you're like throwing all over the place and
oh, okay.
Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I got
one.
I got my story. Now tell me though, if I can't remember if I actually said this. I think I think I already told the story in the podcast, unfortunately, but I'll bring it up anyway because this falls into our topic tonight.
Well, if you tell it again and somebody hasn't seen it, then they're just going to have to go back and watch that episode.
So regardless, I know you guys probably heard.
Please find the original episode. This story was originally told.
Yeah, go back and watch that.
Find them all.
Go back and watch all of them, please. Go back and watch all of our episodes. Like, comment, subscribe, all that crap. No, so I probably said it, but I'll say it again. So a beer that I did not anticipate drinking while playing a kind of sport game, whatever, is beer pong. And the story was when me and Mike met up with his cousin Dave down in Ocean City. It was a dogfish story. I think I told this.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna say it again just because it matches well with this.
That's fine.
But we were going down to meet his cousin Dave. I'm pretty sure it was Ocean City, in Maryland. He had, his cousin had a shore house down there, and this is back when me and Mike were really getting just first introduced into craft beers, IPAs, that kind of stuff. Dogfish 60 Minute was kind of our beer choice at the time. And as we're going down there, we come across Dogfish 120, not even 90, 120 in the 4-pack of those. And we saw that and we're like, oh, never saw that. Like, that sounds good. Whatever. We spent the money, bought it. We go down. We're at his cousin's shore house at 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we start playing beer pong. Now, granted, me and Mike are just getting introduced to craft beer, getting introduced to IPAs, that kind of stuff. We're used to drinking like light beers and 151, whatever. That was our getting drunk at the time. So here we are, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, playing beer pong, and we're drinking these 120 minutes like they're Bud Lights. They're good, really good, and we're drinking them so fast like they're Bud Lights. I'm telling you, within like an hour, we're passed out on the couch. After an hour, we're done. We're out. We passed on the couch. We're drunk as hell. Within the next like 2 hours after we woke up, we're hung. I can't. I've never went so fast from sober to wasted to hungover within a span of like 4 or 5 hours.
All right. For those who never had 120 before, name the reason why.
Because the alcohol percentage is so freaking
18%.
Yep. So
18%.
Yep.
About just about maxes out the ability of that alcohol can be in beer. I mean, it doesn't go very high.
Well, and then after you age it, who knows?
Yeah.
It might be up to 19 or 20%.
Yeah. So that's my story. As far as like a beer that you shouldn't have while playing a sport, a beer drinking sport or whatever, beer pong, do not drink 120 minute like I did while playing that. You're gonna be messed up.
Gosh.
Not playing. I mean, you'll be playing for long.
Yeah.
Well,
right?
and speaking of beer pong, when is the last time you actually played beer pong where beer was in the cups?
Right. Yeah, people. I noticed that I went to a gathering. I don't know. It was probably about a year or two ago now, and they were already playing it. And I'm like, but they were like, there's water in the cups, and they're like, when it goes in there, I take a swig of my beer. It's like, I've never done it that way before. It's always
really?
It goes in the beer. It goes. You take it out. You drink the cup that the ball landed in. I know. Here's it's not sanitary. I know.
Well, right. Here's what sucks. The thing with beer pong is it started out with beer in the cups, and you're supposed to have a water cup. You're supposed to wash it off, throw in whatever. But the drunker you get throughout the night, like it gets dirty. You don't really think about that. You just don't care, whatever. So it's very unsanitary. But here's what's bittersweet about it. It's like, yeah, having water in the cups makes it more sanitary, and people can drink whatever they want to drink. But the whole premise of beer pong is fun, but it's to get drunk. Like, you're supposed to drink, get drunk. And when you're playing with water cups, you don't get drunk as quick because no one's taking a sip every time they should, whatever.
Well, not only that, but they're not drinking as much as other people either, or if at all.
That too.
You can't gauge that.
I don't know about that. That's not. So I know every single time I played beer pong and we're playing that way where we have water in the cups and we're all drinking our own drinks, I drink more that way because
you do.
Regardless of if I'm sinking them, I'm still taking drinks of my drink because I'm thirsty.
That's true. But in old school, I'm gonna call it old school because no one really does it anymore. When you have beer in the cups, you're filling it probably at least a third of the cup, right? Of beer.
Maybe just maybe if it's solo cup. If it's solo cups, it's just past that line.
It really should be like a third, honestly. Yeah. But yeah, okay, just past that line, we'll say. But when that ball goes in, you got to take that whole shot, basically a shot of that beer. Yeah. And let's say they throw again and make another one, you're taking another one. So you're actually getting drunker quicker, but you're taking shots of this beer. Just like Flip Cup. When you play Flip Cup, you get drunk really quick, quick. Even though it's only this much beer each time, but you're taking shots of it.
Well, yeah, I've always gotten way more drunk in Flip Cup than I've ever gotten drunk in.
But you are also in the game to get drunk. Some people are in the game to beat the other person, and they don't drink as much as other people either. So
and then you get to that point where you've lost so much, and you're like, I don't care. I'm gonna drink anyway. Here, let me just chug this.
Just like Alex, I will say, me personally, just like him, I do make sure I drink during beer pong. Like, I'm not like chugging my beer, but I am drinking throughout, like you said. And every time the cup's made, I am drinking a sip every time. Some people.
I think you should have a separate cup that when it lands in there, if you want to keep it sanitary, you have to pour so much in the cups, and that is what you hammer down, and you re-pour and then start playing again.
That's a good idea.
That's the best way. That's the fairest way to do it. That's the fairest way to do it. So everyone is drinking the same amount, and that's in my opinion. When I did it, which I don't get that hammered as I used to do, but my challenge was to almost outdrink the other guy to the point where I'm still functional, and you obviously can't handle your alcohol. So that's what I would do. I want it to be as fair as possible because I want to beat the guy straight up and not think that he's only sipping or I'm only sipping. Like there ain't no going to be any question. We're drinking the same amount, and I'm going to beat you.
I can't believe, honestly, all the times I played with water in cups that no one's ever thought of that, including myself. Like that makes the most sense. Like pour the amount in the cup. That way you're still drinking the same amount like you would if the beer was in the cups.
Yep.
I love that. Earl's the
have you guys ever been to a bar where they have beer pong set up at the bar and you're playing beer pong there?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently there's, I don't know, that plays in the gray area of state laws and playing drinking games in bars, or at least for Delaware. But I've been to a couple bars that had no problem doing it. And then I've been to a couple bars in the same state that said, nope, that's illegal. You can't do that. I mean, and even to like, I'm sitting there at a table with a couple friends. We're all just talking. And I have an empty shot glass in front of me from a shot that I just took. And I just pull out a quarter. And I'm just messing around, like trying to hit the quarter into the shot glass. And the waitress comes by and she's like, I'm sorry, you can't play drinking games. I'm like, I'm just trying to put the quarter in there.
I think it's going to be about it. It's going to be about what the restaurant's willing to look away from. And if someone catches you, then they say, oh, by the way, you're not supposed to be doing that.
Well, it was also where I was. I was on campus at the University of Delaware when she called me out for that. So I'm sure that they've had a few incidents in the past where people took that to took that a little too far.
Yeah. We don't have that problem. Like in PA, all the restaurants I've been at, as far as like drinking games, they didn't really care. When I was in England, for the first time ever, I played beer pong in England. So like the style of the game's the same, but they play the full like 10 cup. I think it's 10 cup, right? Yeah, 10 cup.
Yeah.
So you gotta play 10 cup.
It's just like bowling, 10 pins.
And they fill it with beer. There's no water. This is the Brits you're talking about. There's no freaking water in the cups. Right. There's beer in there. It's at a bar.
These guys play rugby for fun.
I was staying in a hostel. You know what a hostel is?
Like I know the movie.
Have you heard of no? Okay, so a hostel, like when you're traveling Europe, a hostel is basically
like bed and breakfast.
It's like a bed and breakfast, but like it's like super cheap. It's like 10 or 15 bucks a night. You're staying
Sounds
in
like a bad thing.
But it's like boot camp. You're staying in bunk beds with a bunch of like same sex. So like for all the guys are in bunk beds in one room, all the girls in another room. Sometimes it's kind of
like what flight attendants do.
It's a very shitty room, very jam packed, but it's super cheap. So if a lot of backpackers who travel Europe will stay in hostels. So this was a hostel that was on top of a bar. So the bar downstairs, they were doing a beer pong tournament that night. So my first ever time ever doing beer pong with the Brits. Ended the tournament. They were doing 10 cup and they were filling the beer like half full of the cups, and they made sure you drank. And we're doing shots like in between there and everything. And there was like the rules. There's no rules over there. Like they do it to get drunk and have fun. That's what they do. And it was a great time. But just want to throw that in there.
What were they drinking? Do you remember what the beer was?
I don't remember what kind it was.
I'm guessing it was some sort of bitter, like ESB or something.
Yeah, definitely a bitter. And beer over there is definitely a lot different. It's not cold like it is here because it's just cellar temperature or whatever.
Yeah.
That's kind of cold. That's got to be like, just a little bit
like,
below room
temp. It's like cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So it's not cold, but it's cool. Mm-hmm. And it's good. It's really good. And it's really just as hoppy. Not to go off track here a little bit, but like it's so weird because their beers, I'm not sure exactly why, but their percentages are different than ours. So like you don't see 7, 8, 9, 10% over there. It's like 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%. But I'd be drinking like 3 or 4% bitters, and I was getting drunker quicker than I would over here drinking like a 6-7%. I don't know why. Like I don't know
what the standard is. It'd be interesting to find out. That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. Like something to do with their brewing process, or I don't really know, and I should probably look it up to find out.
I guess it's like a measurement thing, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say the calculation just might be a little different. That's all. And it's the same thing, a currency.
Yeah, it could be, but I don't know. They know how to drink over there. I'll tell you that much. The Brits can drink. Oh my God, they can drink. Yeah, so I think definitely me and Alex, we love doing cornhole as far as like other like outdoor or social drinking games, sporty games or whatever. I know you mentioned when we were talking before this how I agree with you. How like when you're playing cornhole, you have to have like a beer in your hand while you're
And
playing. Like,
and when I'm at family's house, where certain families that really just don't drink, and we're playing cornhole, I put the other bag in my hand. Like I gotta have at least one of the other bag in my hand because
oh, really?
no joke. Like
Yeah.
or a soda or something,
Or a beer.
whatever's around. Well, I'm just saying, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
usually,
something there.
but if
Yeah,
I'm
something
somewhere
there.
that is not a thing,
Right.
and for whatever reason, it just feels right to have
Yeah.
something in this other hand while I'm pitching.
Yeah. Or
It
you
just
feel off balance
yeah,
otherwise.
that's right, absolutely. And that would be my excuse if I threw bad. It's like, well, my hand's empty. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need need another beer. I've actually used that excuse. I'm pretty sure I have. I'm pretty sure we all have, used some ridiculous excuses
Yep.
before when
Yeah.
we're like not doing like
It's an
too great.
excuse, but it's legit.
Me
Yeah.
personally, now everyone's different. Everyone's a different drunk or gets different personalities when they're drinking. I am more chill and a lot less caring. And then like playing video games, I enjoy and sometimes
You're
do
way
better.
more chill than me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. Brandon, he's pretty chill too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why, when it's so funny. So when, one of the times that my wife and I came up and we were all hanging out, we play all kinds of board games and backyard games and everything with Brandon and his friends up in PA. And I remember telling my wife, I'm like, hey, you really want to see Brandon get pissed off? She's like, no.
Like, oh, come on.
Well, I do. So call him a cheater. Tell him that he cheated when he won, and he will get so mad. And just push it. Keep pushing it. Call him. Nope, you cheated. No, you cheated. You didn't win fair and square. You cheated. And sure enough, you took the bait.
I feel like I do faintly remember
Got
this,
him.
her doing
Yeah,
that.
it was. Yeah, we were playing charades or something like that. It was.
Sure.
It was-
Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yep.
You got so mad.
Don't tell me I cheated.
Yeah, Brandon's a little competitive. And that
Not a bad thing.
No.
Not a
Competitive
bad thing.
nature is a
not
good
a
thing.
not a good thing. Not a bad thing.
You guys just gotta know how to turn that dial down every now and then. That's all.
Yeah.
Some-
Or just have the right people
I feel
around
like
you that
I
help
feel
you
like
turn
I've been
that dial
better. I feel like I've been better on Call of Duty. Like the last time we played Call of Duty when I was drunk, I was actually doing pretty good.
No,
Like,
you were having fun.
I was actually happy.
I
having
agree.
Fun. I'm
You're
working
having
on
fun.
it. I'm working on it. I will not say the words I normally say on Call of Duty on this podcast.
Hey, we got a video of Alex even worse than that.
Oh yeah. So yeah, eventually our plan is to release a Better with Beers gaming edition of us playing Call of Duty while drinking good beer, just like their podcast, just gaming. And we already have some recorded funny moments of us playing. And Alex, for now, holds the spotlight of the funniest moment of Call of Duty. It was so funny, but stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
But
anyway, my thing, at least the type of drinking that I do, I think I do better when it comes to either cornhole, apart from the coordination. Obviously, nobody has better coordination, but I do better in video games and some sports, things like activities, because I care less. Like I'm not trying so hard, and it's like, you know what? Don't care if it goes in. Hey, look at that, it went in. Hey. So I think that's why I do better sometimes when I'm drinking, just because I care even less.
That's actually where that's where I was really coming from when I started playing golf, because
you're thinking too much about it, and
good
segue.
Yeah.
Golf and beers.
Yeah, so I picked up golf in the most, like, I don't know, not in the most common time frame that most men would pick up golf. It was right after my kid was born, and I bought a set of golf clubs. That's normally something.
Like, baby's crying a lot. I need something to do.
Yeah. Well, and it was like I'd never been golfing before. I've been to the driving range a couple times, but I never took it seriously. And to be honest, I always made fun of the goofy hats and the weird clothes and everything that serious golfers on big country club golf courses would wear. And you know how you have to be really, really quiet, you know, when you're on the golf course. But I love Billy. Was it not Billy Madison? Happy Gilmore. I loved Happy Gilmore because I was the opposite of that. And I was like, hey, that's me. But the most fun that I have during golfing is not. I mean, yeah. Now I'm really trying to focus on getting a little bit better. But I love being able to just have a few beers with some friends. Like I've never been golfing by myself. Well, it's always been with
a very
someone.
Social sport.
Right. And you know, we've always brought a few beers with us. Brandon's got an interesting story when me and my buddy Raz went up there and went golfing with him. And
we talked about it on our first episode, I think.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So talk about it again so that they go back and watch that first episode.
Well, definitely go back and watch the first episode. But I guess a shorter version of this is so Alex came up with our buddy Raz, and there's a course up here it's an 18-hole course. It's a very newbie-friendly course. Anyone who's new to golf, they're very friendly. That you could be also a skilled golfer and still have a good time on this course. It's a very affordable course. But the thing is, this is a course that I first learned on 5 years ago. So all the times I've been on this course, all the time, I'm telling you, every time we've snuck on beer. Now, pretty much every course up here, except courses that are further out, like out in the boonies or whatever. But most courses up here, you got to buy beer on the course in order to drink. You can't bring your own beer. This course, me, my buddy Bob, and all our buddies that went on there, we've always snuck on beer. Never. But when you go in the first hole, there's a I can't remember the term, what the guy's actually called, but there's a guy there who checks your receipts and kind of like makes sure, like, you know, you paid, that kind of stuff, you know, all that kind of stuff. I've never had an issue with him like checking for people bringing on beer. Like, we brought on beer all the time. Of course.
Y'all look pretty suspect walking up in there, I'm sure, too.
I tell Alex and Raz,
couple big coolers in the back of the golf cart wasn't a dead giveaway. One of the coolers actually said Bud Light on it.
And that might have been, you're right. That probably was the giveaway, because like I'm telling them, like, guys, like, you had nothing to worry about.
How did he know?
Whatever.
Yeah.
So the guy didn't necessarily accuse them. He was just like, look, I got to do this. It's like the rules of the state. We can get in trouble. I need to ask you, do you guys have any alcohol? Whatever. I could see Alex and Raz kind of looking at each other, kind of looking at me, like they're contemplating on whether they're lying or not.
So
we had a whole conversation with each other without even saying anything on what do we do?
Like, and they manned up and they're like, what'd you say? Like, it's like, there's a couple beers in there, but we can just bring him right back to the truck. And he did. He hopped in our golf cart and drove him back. But what he ended up doing is just shoving some of the beers into his golf bag and ditching the cooler into the truck. But I had a regular lunchbox that didn't look like a big cooler or anything. And I said, I just got waters in there, and he didn't ask to check it. And, true.
And I had a whole bottle of Bullet bourbon in there. So
so he had that in his golf
watered
bag.
Down. So
he had that in his golf bag. So we kept that. I think I didn't help the situation by saying, I've been here plenty of times. This is where I learned these two guys are new. Like, I said that. So the guy didn't check me. He didn't ask me. He only asked them. So I had a cooler too with like 3 or 4 beers in there. So we had those. He never asked me if I kept that. They went back and took theirs back, kept the bourbon in the golf bag.
So I get it. It's like you can't bring a 6-pack into a bar. You know, and it's a thing.
100% true.
Yeah, and it's like there is a state law, and they need to regulate the alcohol that's going through there, and buy theirs. It helps support the business and all that stuff. I get it,
which I totally get, and I support and all that kind of stuff. But back to Alex's point, as far as like golfing as a sport while drinking, you may have gotten into it later, as far as like later age, but you got into it in the right way. Like golf. I'm pretty sure I said it on the first episode, I used to hate golf. Like, watching it was boring. Thinking about even playing it was boring. But I did it the same way you did. I played with some buddies, just drank some beers, smoked some cigars, and that's what got me into it. And eventually, you'll get so much into it that you might, I actually want to improve my game, that kind of stuff. But like, it all starts over drinking good beers and having a good time with friends. and that's what makes the sport fun. You can't knock it till you try it in that way.
I don't like getting into craft beer. Everyone drinks the cheap stuff that you get drunk with in college or high school. Not that I did that, but but then and you're with friends and you start wanting to explore and try different things. Like maybe I want to really actually pay attention when I'm drinking, and then you start trying different things because as a part of the segue on off of that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of different aspects that start social, and then you decide that you enjoy this social thing so much that you actually want to explore it more.
Yeah. So before we transition into like professional sports talk with beer, so another casual sport you can play that's good over beer is bowling. So now this year, I've been in the bowling league for about technically I guess 6 years, but this year we didn't bowl because of COVID. Like our league is going on, but there's like so restricted that me and my team decided not to bowl this year. It wasn't worth it. Like you have to wear the mask while bowling. There's like separate lanes. Like there's just too much restrictions. But the league I'm in is called the beer league. So, which means every team drinks beer. We go there. Every team name is based off. It has to be named off of beer, some sort of beer or play on words or whatever. Yeah, exactly. We were split faced, like shit faced. We're split faced, like a split in bowling.
Okay, I get it now.
Yeah, like you bowl a split, but so we did split faced. And all the teams had a team name based some sort off of alcohol or beer or whatever, and we all had pitchers of beer or whatever. And that's what we do. Like every week, every Tuesday night, it was just fun drinking beer, bowling. We had people bowling 100. We had people bowling 200. Like I bowled my first 300 ever sanctioned in that league, all over drinking beer and having fun with the people around
because
me.
you didn't care. You were enjoying.
I didn't care, enjoying myself. And don't get me wrong, by this like 8th frame, I was nervous as hell doing yoga breath. Like I did. Like,
it was like pitching the perfect game. It's like it could be an exhibition. You just you realize how close you are to doing it.
Yeah. Let me just say, thank God for beer. I got through it and got my first 300. So
everything's better with beer, man.
Bowling is better with beers. But let's not transition into like professional sports as far as like watching it.
Before we transition to those sports, let's circle back to the beers that we started with. So as you continue drinking the beer, the flavors kind of start to change. So Brandon, how's yours tasting?
It's still about the same. Like it's not too sweet, which is surprising because it's an ice cream beer. It's like brewed with like vanilla, chocolate, all that kind of stuff. It's still tasting really good. I love it. I'd probably rate it on Untapped. I'd probably give it a solid like 4.2 or 4.25. I could honestly drink 2 or 3 like in a night and not feel too bloated or too heavy. Tastes really good still.
I might get through this whole 4-pack tonight. I'm pretty sure I will get through this whole 4-pack tonight, and I'm already feeling it after one beer. So,
well, yeah. It's funny.
But it doesn't taste boozy. But I will say that it's getting more mapley, syrupy.
Or like molasses. A lot of times you get a lot of molasses out of imperial stouts as well.
Yeah, definitely. And the oak of aging in those barrels and everything is definitely now coming through too. And it might have to do with the fact that it's been, out of the freezer for a little bit. So it's been warming up. It's getting closer to room temperature. And, of course, anytime, like, Brandon, you've been to whiskey and bourbon tastings and scotch and everything. And, I'm sure that they've told you there that if, anytime you drink something that's really cold, it like restricts your taste buds. And it really takes the bite away from something that would normally have a bite, versus if you drank it neat or with like 1 or 2 ice cubes, it completely changes the whole flavor profile.
Or even like I've been like scotch tastings where they actually give you droppers, and you can drop like 1 or 2 or 3 drops of water there.
Yeah, it changes a lot too.
Yeah, to take away that bite and stuff.
Yeah. Earl, how about yours?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm getting more like the molasses and like toffee flavors out of it. So, I'm drinking it faster than I realized I was going to. So, like, I need something in my glass to say cheers at the end of the episode. So,
right,
slow it down. I've done that. One of our episodes, like, I literally have an empty glass. I'm like, up cheers.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's why
oh,
I brought a backup can.
there you go.
So
Yeah,
Earl,
I wanted to do these because we're getting out of the warm weather, the cold weather. It's like if we're gonna do beer styles, I want to at least hit the imperial stouts for sure.
Right.
As
I,
it's
I, I was
warming
gonna
up.
say because it actually is ironic that we're talking about transitioning out of winter into warmer weather, and
It is what we go with.
we actually wouldn't drink like these stouts in warm weather, but
Well,
it's part of the transition,
it is.
right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Yep.
I do like the choice. I do like the choice.
And it's still getting pretty chilly at night too. You know,
Yes.
I mean,
Oh,
we're
yeah, for
getting
sure.
we're getting back into bonfire weather where it's 50s and 60s during the day, and 40s and
Mm.
50s and at night.
Yeah,
That's right.
just drinking these at night by a fire would be excellent right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Earl, I wanted to circle back to the beers because I wanted to learn a little bit more about imperial stouts and where all that came from before we jumped into some of the bigger, more commercialized sports.
So without getting too beer geeky, one really interesting thing, I didn't know this till actually I learned it a couple years ago, and I thought it was really interesting, and then I started reading more about it, is because usually if you think about the different styles of beer, whether it be lagers and ales, the Irish reds, and then you think you start getting darker, you get the Dunkelweisens and the porters and stouts. A lot of times people will put like porters then stouts. Actually, a stout is a type of porter. A stout is closer to a porter. And back when stouts were called stouts were really more a word for beer that was very full and very robust. They weren't always black as night dark. And they're talking about back in like the 1800s, but the porters were always the really dark beers. They started they became closer to porters when the Baltic porters started to get real popular. And Baltic porters are a high ABV porter because they were being shipped from England to the Baltic Islands, to Russia, and to those areas. And just like with the Indian Pale Ales, they need to be able to withstand that journey through the rough seas and all that on that long trip. So when the Baltic porters started doing that, they decided they wanted to make something even more robust. Then they start coming out with the imperial stouts. So it's a stout because it's very big, very robust, and it started mimicking the Baltic porter by getting darker and roastier. And they started being called imperial stouts when they started being shipped to Russia and the Baltic Islands. A lot of times to like the imperial family in Russia. And that's kind of where that name came from, being sent over there. So I thought that was interesting. And the other thing about those imperial stouts, and like I said with mine is a 75 IBU. We talked about this on another episode. The hops, the amount of hops you put in something, like you'll have an IPA that's super hoppy, have 60 to 70 IBUs. This is a super roasty, dense stout with just as many IBUs as an IPA. But that is a common thing for imperial stouts. Back when they started getting real popular and started getting on these shipping routes to the Baltic Islands, hops, along with high alcohol, is a natural preservative, and it was able to withstand that. So the more hops you pump in there, the longer the trip they can take. And so the one thing I read actually was the imperial stouts of that time, they, in a barrel, regular sized barrel, they would have an excess of 20 pounds of hops in each barrel. So
wow,
it's like an IPA because it has so many hops in it, but they wanted the sweetness of the dark roasted malts and the caramel flavors, the chocolate flavors. So they wanted it sweet, but they wanted to survive the trip of where it was going, because it's being brewed really good here. They're trying to sell it on the trade routes all the way out in Baltic Islands and Russia and all those other places. So they bumped up the ABV. They pumped it full of hops, which is natural preservative. And so now not only do they have the IPAs going to India that are really hoppy and kind of on the lighter side and with a high ABV, but they got these really dense, dark, roasty, and sweet beers with high ABV and high hops going to the Russia Imperial Islands up there. So, and of course, ever since then, it's obviously spiraled into so many different styles and everything. But it is real interesting. Beer's got a heck of a history, and that's something I have learned about the stouts and the imperial stouts, which is what we're trying now, and that's kind of where all that came from.
Man, that is freaking cool. I mean, and it's so crazy how far those processes have come. I mean, nowadays when you take a tour in a big brewery like Dogfish Head or Flying Fish or even the Blue Earl here in Smyrna, it's they have a lab where they culture the yeasts. And everything is very sanitized, and I mean they didn't know about half of that stuff back then.
It makes you wonder
and
how the beer really tasted back then too.
Really,
I do wonder that. Yeah,
it's man, that's crazy.
Well, you talk about like the chicha beers that the Discovery Channel did a special on with Dogfish down in Peru, where they would chew up corn and spit it out, and that's part of what was boiled for the mash and turned into beer later on. They had the females literally chewing up corn to get the amylates into the corn to help with the fermentation process and all that. They were doing that in Peru, and they've been doing that for centuries.
Right. And to go back to my whole laboratory thing, the reason why it was only females instead of males is because they ran a test and they realized that the special enzyme in the saliva of females were more efficient in creating the proteins that were needed to develop that yeast versus the ones that males could.
And they didn't know that was a thing back then, just like they didn't know what yeast was. But females, traditionally, going back, a lot of times the fathers or the men were out doing the hard work, the hard labor, whether it be in a farm field or building or construction, whatever. The one staying at home, taking care of children, getting food on the table, baking, they were the brewers. Females are the original brewers of beer history because they were the ones making it in the household as part of a staple, as part of the household staple. So it makes sense. It just, I mean, there's no such thing as coincidences. I'm sorry. I just don't think there is. And it happens that women were the main brewers, and turns out they're actually more, I don't know, is in their DNA to be even better at it. But yeah, I love a good little beer history. That's for sure.
Sweet.
Oh, that was good. That was good for sure. Do you want to talk about like any stories about like watching professional sports and beers and stuff?
Yeah. So I don't know. Definitely wasn't last year, obviously, because of the whole COVID thing, but it was a couple of years ago. I went with our buddy Raz to the Washington football team's stadium.
Redskins?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Okay.
Yeah. And we saw the Eagles play against
Cool.
the Redskins. And, it's been forever since I've actually been to an NFL stadium and saw a game live. And, we were, kind of taking turns going down and getting beers so that, the both of us weren't down there missing stuff. And, of course, we try to get down there, during times that wasn't halftime, because obviously during halftime, everyone just floods all the stands and, trying to get their beers, but I had no idea on the third quarter of an NFL game, they cut you off completely.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that they don't have a bunch of drunk people leaving.
You remember that? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, so and that's it. Really got me thinking. I'm like, man, I'm glad we did what we did, because when we got there was a ton of people in the parking lot just tailgating and having a great time and everything. So we just walked up on a couple of tailgate parties, and I was drinking a Monster energy drink on the way up, just to make sure that I was, had plenty of energy to, get myself through and then drive home. And, and then after I was done my Monster, I'm like, well, I'll just, dump a couple, Jack Daniel's shots in here and, just walk around with that. Well, we walked up on this tailgate party and they're like, oh yeah, you guys want a beer? Here you go. They had, like 330 packs of beer of Bud Light there. So, we drank a few beers there. We met them and kind of made some new best friends, at least for that day. And then we all walked up together. So by the time we finally got to the stadium, which we parked right at the DC Metro entrance, of the stadium. So we parked in the Metro parking lot. That was kind of my idea because I was like, I don't really want to deal with all the traffic at the stadium parking lot and trying to pay for parking and all that. I think it'd be smarter if we just park here and then walk up. And apparently a lot of other people got that same idea as well.
I got a brilliant idea.
But it was most of the people that had that idea. The reason they had that idea is because they knew the parking lot was going to be a little more empty and they would have a lot more space to have tailgate parties.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
There was a ton of tailgate parties that, we were able to bounce around to before everyone started walking up to the stadium. And while we were walking up to the stadium, people were, beer bonging and they were shotgunning beers and they were taking shots and everything. There must have been, 2,000 people all walking, on this sidewalk that was only about 3 feet wide all the way up to the stadium. And it was a pretty long walk. It was almost, I don't know, I'd say like about a half a mile. So, it was a party in the parking lot. And then it continued to be a party as we were walking into the stadium, and then we got to our seats right before kickoff. So that was my most recent NFL experience live.
That's one of the best parts about like going to any NFL games, NHL, baseball games, like all the times I went to, like the good times you have with friends tailgating. Let's be real, like I love sports, but tailgating is like one of the best parts of it. You just have a good time, like getting together.
Some people go just to tailgate. They don't even go in the stadium.
They legitimately do. And like here in Philly, I know Alex knows about it, Xfinity Live. Some people like legit go to tailgate with their friends, and some of their friends might be going to the game, but the rest of them just go to Xfinity Live afterwards, the bar, which is right by the stadiums here. And tailgating
kind of looks like this.
It basically looks like that. It really does. And it's so much fun because tailgating combines everything. You're drinking the beers, you're enjoying the sports atmosphere, you're playing cornhole, you're playing beer pong, like you're grilling, like everything that us men and women, get involved too, love about sports and drinking beers is all in tailgating. Like it's all right there.
Yeah.
I wish I had looked this picture up ahead of time, because you talk about a tailgating party, sporting event. Go to a NASCAR race. I mean, geez.
Yeah.
So I saw a picture of a guy just years ago. I can't remember. Anyway, he had like a cardboard box that he'd put around his head, like it was all around here, and it was open right here, but then it had like another lid right here, and had these two little curves right here, and he had a sign above it that said "free mammograms." He's walking around with a beer with that too.
I'll say I've never been really to an actual NASCAR race, but I've been to a NASCAR tailgating party. Like race. Oh my God, they get wild. Now I'll say too, they're not craft beer drinkers.
No, they're not.
They're drinking like light beer or whatever, but they're drinkers. That's for sure.
You'll have more people just tailgating at NASCAR races than anywhere else. That's for sure. They show up on Wednesday when the race is on Sunday.
Yeah,
that's a legit. If you've never been to a NASCAR race, I don't care if you don't like NASCAR, that is an experience all in itself. Just being there for a couple days worth.
And we go ahead, Brandon.
Oh no, just real quick. I was going to say, as far as going to sporting events, NFL, it doesn't matter. If you notice, I love how nowadays you're seeing more and more craft beer being served at these sporting events.
Oh yeah,
awesome. Because back in the day, you weren't seeing it so much. You were just it was all just Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light, all that kind of stuff. But you're seeing
because they were being endorsed by the NFL.
Right. Yeah. And I love the fact that we can go there and actually get a nice craft beer. Of course, it's still a little overpriced, like all the other beers. But honestly, like I'm either paying $13 for a really tall Bud Light, or I'm paying $9 for whatever, like an IPA or whatever. Yep. The fact that you actually have a lot of options there now, and they're having like actual like I don't know, like multiple options of different craft beers you can get at a sporting event, which is cool. I'm happy to see that nowadays.
I would still rather go to like a minor league game, because you end up with more options. It's a smaller crowd. That's just me though. I'm not a huge tens of thousands of people, but it feels more home like. It's almost like a small town feel when you go to the minor league games.
Yeah.
Plus it's cheaper, but yeah.
Or you could just, go to your kid's baseball game and get drunk.
And bring your own beer,
Yeah.
get drunk. Yeah.
That's
Frowned
that's as
upon.
minor league as it gets.
Speaking of which, if we're talking about like casual sports, is axe throwing count?
I'm sure that
It's
it's
starting to be
getting there.
it is
Man,
a legit tournament sport, just like
my
cornhole.
my buddy Bob, which Alex knows, is in a axe throwing league. Like
Is
I
he?
feel like it might get there. Like cornhole started out as very casual. Now it's on ESPN. Axe throwing
Yeah.
might get there. I know darts and stuff is on there on like
Mm.
ESPN and stuff.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I've seen
But
axe
I'm
throwing
going.
on ESPN.
It probably is. It
I've
probably
seen
is.
axe throwing tournaments on TV. I
Exactly.
had to be in at
So
ESPN.
it's getting there, right? So
Yeah.
tomorrow. I'm going axe throwing again
Cool.
with my now girlfriend.
Say it. Say it. There you go. It's okay. Just let it out.
Hey, just want to shout that out. I told her I would. I told her I said at least once I'll shout it out in here because she heard me.
You got a friend that's a girl?
I have a friend that's a girl. So she's my girlfriend.
Yep. Did you
And,
kiss a girl and you like it?
I kiss her and I like it. Yep. So we're going axe throwing tomorrow. Hey, and we're drinking beers. Hey, it's
Nice.
BYOB, so
Good time.
good time. It's a good time. That's a sport. So there you go.
Everything's
Yeah.
better with beers.
But
No, so the whole NASCAR thing though, so we got a thing around here in Delaware is we have the Dover International Speedway, the Monster Mile, is our local NASCAR track. NASCAR is definitely not what it used to be anymore, and that's nothing to do with COVID. It's just the fact that honestly, after the recession hit, and there was such a massive impact to the economy, the first thing that a lot of people cut out were activities like going to NASCAR events. So major cities and towns that surrounded these NASCAR tracks, such as ours, I think that a lot of businesses really suffered and they ended up closing down. And our capital of Delaware is Dover, which is where the track is located.
Monster Mile.
And there was a lot of businesses around that track that are now closing, including the Dover Mall. And the Dover Mall is really suffering. I mean, there's hardly any stores left in it anymore. And Brandon, and Earl and I all grew up going
That's
to
our
the
childhood.
Dover Mall as kids,
Nice.
and remember all that fun time. And of course, we've all worked in the area when we got some of our first jobs. I worked at a restaurant that was in the mall, and had to fight race traffic trying to get there every single time. I had to work during race weekend. But there was a little speaking of tailgating and beers and everything in NASCAR, there was one area that was always full of parties, and that was lot 10. And it's where I saw my first set of boobies. And
yeah.
that's
I
saw a
always
lot.
remember that.
I saw a lot that I didn't want to see, and I saw a lot that I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and that's just, it was one of those, it's one of
It's
those,
like a rock
like
concert.
local folklores of, like, hey, what goes on lot 10 stays
on
on
lot
lot
10.
10. But they were constantly having, and there was live bands that were constantly playing there too, and
that's the other thing. That's a different type of tailgating. You will have bands that will pop up in the middle of tailgating at a NASCAR race, because we went one time. This is when I was in high school. Me and a bunch of friends went. They had set up a drive-in theater in the middle of the tail, because, like I said, these people show up on Wednesday, and the race isn't until Sunday. But there's like Friday, there's qualifying. Saturday, there's usually the truck race, and then Sunday is the main cup race. But these are diehard people that roll up in campers, and they're just there for the duration. But that is their thing. And I'm going to bring this up just because it's coming up. I don't see how else it would come up any other time, because what we're talking about, Dover Downs there's a bunch of unique things. Every track is a little unique. If you don't know anything about NASCAR, all of them have their own thing about them that makes them special. So one of the many things about Dover Downs is Dover Downs actually has, usually there's a bridge to be able to walk from because it's a big circle. There's a bridge to be able to walk to the infield. back and forth, but that bridge for regular foot track was shut down during the race. Well, Dover Downs is the only racetrack that actually has a second bridge just for spectating. And there's actually seats on this bridge lined up where you sit. There's a big car catch fence in front of it. They're DuPont glass, so they shot bolts at it at 200 miles an hour, so make sure it wouldn't penetrate. But you can watch the race sitting over top of the racetrack. Caveat to that is you cannot buy that ticket. Those are seats reserved for CEOs, VIPs, and like radio contest winners. But that is unique about Dover Downs. And my wife is a big race car fan. She grew up in Southern Virginia. NASCAR is a thing, and she's always been into NASCAR. Went to a lot of Martinsville races, Bristol and Charlotte, and that is her thing. And so when I proposed to my wife, I wrote a letter into somebody in charge at Dover Downs and said, is there a way I can propose to my wife on the racetrack? Not during race weekend, because obviously that's going to be a big no. But is there something I could do? I had the chief marketing officer call me and say, I got your letter, or you got forwarded to me, and I was told to make this happen. So come on down here, we'll talk about it. And I went down, I had a meeting. I had set up for my wife to come up and visit to Delaware. And there's a fine dining restaurant right there because there's a casino at Dover Downs racetrack. We ate dinner, and I said, I got a surprise after dinner. I took her through some back hallways in the casino that I was told I was allowed to go through. And we ended up on this bridge in the dark, candles lined the bridge over top of the racetrack. And that's where I proposed.
Ooh.
So it worked out well. That's obviously now my fondest memory of Dover Downs racetrack.
And probably her fondest memory too.
Yeah, I would kind of hope so.
I'm so glad you actually told that story, because I honestly, I thought you were going to cut it off at there's a bridge there and it's got the DuPont glass and everything, and then that was it. And I was going to be like, and how do you know about this, Earl?
Because I was literally, when I met with that gentleman who was kind enough to help me with this, he's like, all right, we jumped in a pickup truck and drove around the track. He's like, all right, I'm going to give you my spiel that I give to everyone that comes to visit our track, and I'm supposed to schmooze just because it's the spiel I always give. And he talked about the safer barriers and everything around. And then we went up on that bridge. He said, because I mentioned Victory Circle. I thought it'd be cool, Victory Circle. He brought me over to that. It's like Victory Circle is really just a little, it's a little concrete pad. It just looks nice on when they win because they doll it up with decorations and confetti and all that stuff. But really, there's nothing that looks nice about that spot. Mm-hmm. But he said, I have another idea. And then he brought me up on that bridge and he told me about the DuPont glass. That's, super thick. There's a big catch fence up there. So if a car happens to go airborne, it won't take out that bridge with spectators on it. There's an open bar set up on the bridge. Like I said, this is a VIP seating area. So it worked out. He told me, he's like, you know what, after all this, there probably won't be anyone else that does this, but I don't know. I felt something special about the letter, and I thought I'd go ahead and maybe give it a shot and see which, since you didn't ask to do it during a race weekend or anything. I was like, no, that'd be crazy. Why would I do that?
Yeah, for sure.
It was cool. It was cool.
Good story. I like it.
So,
all right, cool. Well, I think that about does it. I think we're a little over an hour here. So we're looking forward to doing all the activities, the sport-related activities we talked about tonight in the very near future, because the winter's leaving, spring is coming, the summer is coming, warm weather. We can do all this stuff again. That's awesome. I can't wait for it.
Hey,
I'm tired.
I got some cornhole boards. I got some bags. And honestly, like that. So this year's goal is to like completely beautify the whole backyard. My daughter is going to be taking her first unassisted steps any day now, and that means that when the weather really breaks, she's already really quick, crawling. But when the weather really breaks, she's going to want to be outside. So I have to, we got 3 dogs. So I'm going to fence in an area that the dogs can't have access to, that only she does. And she's going to have her own little play area. And obviously I'm going to want to be out there all the time, with her and watching her play and grow. And so, going to be lots of lawn games and beer.
Better with beers.
Yep.
Spring and
Yeah.
summer is better with beers.
Mm-hmm. And daylight savings time's coming up too, isn't it? When's that?
Yeah, yeah.
So days are going to get even longer. It's coming
It's in-
up. What is
it's in
it?
March, right?
It's in March. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which weekend?
Which I can't wait for because I work third shift. I'm sick and tired. I was sick and tired of leaving when it was dark, waking up when it was dark.
All
Now I
right.
get to leave when it's light and wake up when it's light. I'd rather have that.
Nice.
But the weather's getting nicer, but I haven't been able to experience it because by the time I wake up, like I have no clue.
Right.
Right.
So like my now girlfriend was like, "Hey, it's a nice day out today." I'm like, "Oh well, I wish I would have known. I was sleeping the whole time." But I'll be able to enjoy it like once spring and summer comes along and it stays warmer out, lighter out later, that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
be nice. But as Alex knows, I'm pretty good at cornhole, so I can't wait to play cornhole again.
Yeah, you're in the
Yeah.
Navy, right? Oh,
I'm
no,
not.
that's
I'm
right.
not a cornhole league, but I actually might join a cornhole league this year because I not to my own horn. I'm pretty good at cornhole. I need to join a league.
I'm pretty
But
sure
I-
he
but
said.
I-
I'm pretty sure he said because you're in the Navy, right?
Alex called that.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah.
I thought he said because you're in a league, right?
Oh,
shit.
no.
Nope.
No, gosh.
Whoop! Oh, in my head. Oh, he missed
Yeah.
it.
I don't know.
That's
Someone had
okay.
to make
Oh,
that. Someone had to make a cornhole euphemism joke somehow. So.
I'm in the Marines, not the Navy.
Oh. So that's
Which
so
is a
your
branch of the
cornhole. Your cornhole is just a little bit bigger. Is that what it?
Oh,
We are the hole. They're the corn.
hey, you're the ones perfected
I'll
the silver
say it.
bullet.
I'll
So
say it. Yeah, I did
Yeah,
say silver bullet.
yeah.
Yep, that's true. That's true. But I
Good
can't
show,
wait for
guys.
I can't wait for golf either.
yeah.
Yeah.
Beer and golf is great.
I'm so ready for golf.
Yeah.
Got a new driver and everything. Ready to go.
Oh, I'm sure you are. Anyway, Call of Duty.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Good episode. Everyone watching, please subscribe below, comment with any ideas you might have for us doing the show.
Check out
questions,
Facebook.
topics. Check out Facebook. Alex is now the primary guy in charge of Facebook. Actually, I'm going to make you in charge of Instagram too, so you can handle that. So he's a social media guy. So anything you see on there, all the cool content,
It's
you
his
see on
fault.
there, it's his fault if it's bad, and it's his fault if it's great. So
That's fair.
whatever. So follow us on there and subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Follow us on Untapped below. All the information is below. And other than that, good episode. And
Cheers.
We'll see you next week. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Yep.
Oh, drink.
Yeah, you got cheers and drink. You can't just cheers.
I know.